Good evening, welcome. I'm Damien Lovegrove. I'll give you a little bit of introduction about myself before I crack on with the presentation. I spent 40 years now, 40 years and 4 months as a professional image maker, and over that time I've worked for the BBC, I've worked for other corporate companies doing stills, and then I became a wedding photographer and a stills photographer. Most importantly, the psychology of shooting portraits, and that will be not just on the shoot itself, but prior to a shoot, especially if you're photographing someone's children, for instance, or something like that. What to say, what not to say, this sort of thing. And then also how to get the connection and energy into the picture. You know, you might spend a lot of time setting up the group and getting everybody in the right position, but never forget to create the moment to capture. All right, so that's my sort of tip for portraiture. It doesn't matter whether you're photographing a young baby or whether you're photographing a whole group of people, you have to create that moment, and that's really the portrait photographer's role. I know I heard Annie Leibovitz say, I think she said recently, it's not my job to put someone at ease. Well, it is my job. And that's partly because the person that's in the photograph, generally speaking, is the person that's buying the photograph, and they want to have a good time. And of course, there's an emotional connection to the image. When they look back at the photograph, they think, that was a fun moment. I like that. I'm going to buy that picture. Or that picture means something to me because it reminds me of a really good time in my life or a really good experience with that photographer. You find that there's a few light sources from windows or open doors, and you can work with those. And so I walk around looking for ability to shoot into the light to get this sort of lovely sort of sheen and texture on a picture. And that's how I often work. And then in a picture like this, when I click into it, if it gets better when I zoom in, I will just shoot tighter. So I've put my 110 lens on here and I've just gone in for a tighter shot.